Hi folks, this is Sean Hyman from Chart of the Day, and I just want to talk to you about the power of news events. We had the New Zealand CPI, Consumer Price Index, come out this evening at about 4:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The expectation was 0% inflation, and previously there had been inflation in the previous month, so it was expected to ratchet back a little bit. It came in at negative 0.2%, and so since there was such an inflationary number that was expected, since there was no inflation expected, and there was a lack of inflation that actually came out as the outcome, it was a negative for the New Zealand dollar. Now, I want to talk to you while I'm drawing some of these on here about if you tend to be a news event player, and I'll be honest and tell you that I tend to not be a news event trader, because you're trading on unknown information until everybody and their mama knows about it. But I tell you how I do play news events. When I do trade news events, I set up beforehand. Pretend all this from the news event is not there. This is on a 5-minute chart. So let's say that you have right up until the event here. I set up key resistance and support levels immediately, and ones that can be kind of far off, or what appear to be far off. And then when there's a candle that starts to head below the one of the line, the support line, or go above the resistance line, that's when I would act upon the on the trade. In this case, it came below the support line, and it just kept falling upon the bad news. Started to taper off a bit, fell a good bit more. It's amazing that where did it stop? It stopped at a previous, you could say, longer term support level for a 5-minute, 5-day chart. So it was more of a major support for a 5-minute, 5-day chart here. And you could see that there was such a parabolic move leading up to the event, and that's key to know too, because it's not important just to find out what the economic number is, but how the market has responded in the hours and days leading up to the event. And so basically what had happened before this event is this pair had run up quite significantly from a little over 166.70 to about 167.40, actually a little higher if you count the spike. And so it had pretty much in the near term priced this thing to perfection, and it just kind of hung out until the news event happened. Now, if this thing doesn't come out exactly on the money or inflationary, in other words, beating expectations at the positive, it's almost for sure going to sell off. If it comes out in line with expectations after a run up like this, it could still sell off. It may not sell off quite this severely, but it could sell off a decent amount before it kind of regains its footing. So you want to pay attention on the short-term charts as to how the market reacted before the announcement, and the current support and resistance levels of how it acts in the hour or two or so, hour 2 or 3 beforehand. Here you had kind of a triangle of sorts where it was pretty much flat on the top, but sloped and angled up there. And then once you saw this huge move downward, I mean, you could just tell that the negative news took hold, and that all of this parabolic move here was about to get wiped out and erased away, because there's no need to have this way up at these levels if you're actually having a negative inflation number for the period, for that certain period. In other words, overall, New Zealand still has inflation, and overall it's growing, but not in this particular period that was being measured. And so it got hammered quite severely. So where do we go from here? Now the question is, from here you want to zoom out into bigger pictures. For instance, that was a 5-day, 5-minute chart. This will take you out to a 10-day look here on a 15-minute chart. So you can actually tell that this support had even come on back and been valid back here as well. If you want to get a bigger picture as to where this recent move is in relation to where we've been recently, you can take a look at an hourly or a 4-hour chart. So there was the small move, came down to this larger move. Something that as I zoom out that becomes more significant is this right here. On the hourly chart, we had a little bit of a longer term uptrend line. It had broken below that, bumped up against it once, ran back up to it, and just kind of hung out by it again. So that's, again, a longer term resistance or support level. Again, it was support when it was trading above it, but it becomes resistance when it's below it. That's key to know too. So you have this pair, it runs up, it holds right below the resistance level. Now, had it been tremendously good news, of course, it might have hopped back above it, and then you would have wanted to watch other levels. Like, for instance, if it hopped back above it, could it take out this resistance level here? So it's all about support and resistance levels when you're news event trading. If it could have taken out this resistance here, you'd want to see how it handled this resistance. If it pushed above this and closed above it, you would want to, as it approached this level, you would want to move your stop up past your break even to probably even cover a little profit, and then see how it deals with this level. That way, if for some reason it bumps it and gives it all back, you'll still have a little bit of something left. So when a move, starts moving distinctly in your favor, you definitely want to think defensively, manage those risks. So as this starts moving down in your favor, the only effective way to trade a news event, in my opinion, is to cover your risk as quickly as possible. So you need a sizable move in order to do that, but that's also usually what a news event will give you. If it gives you a sizable move, take that stop and move it up, a little past break even. That way you can help to ensure yourself some profit, which in bringing it down to break even is bringing it below your entry. That way the stop would get hit before it would come back to your entry point. Since in this case it would be a short sell, and if the pair breaks down further, then of course you want to move out and see where we go from here. So you can look at a 4-hour, 40-day chart, and you can see where the next levels are. Like, pretty much this was your next support level that you would have. There we go. Right here around the 65 level. So what you can do is you can manage this trade and watch it at every major level. As it breaks a level, if it were to break this level and start headed down, it's possibly going to target down at this level. So what I would want to do is move my stop down again and bring it past my break-even point. That way I remove risk on the trade. Sometimes will it come back and hit your stop? Absolutely. And guess what? Your worst-case scenario is you made a little bit of money. But the worst-case scenario could have been, that a trade moves way down, and then you go, oh, well, it's way away from my entry, so no need to move my stop. And then all of a sudden it snatches back and recoils. And I'm going to tell you that does that a ton of times in news events, and wipes away all the gain, and then takes your stop out, and then you're in with a loss, whereas you had a sizable gain. So remember, when news event trading, the power in news events is to use those initial decisive moves that move either down or up a lot to get your stop up past break even as soon as you can once the market gets a decent amount away from your entry point. Cover those, cover your risk, and know ahead of time where larger support and resistance levels are. Know where they are on that 5-minute chart. Know where they are on an hourly chart minimally, and that'll help you know where, if a pair runs off and breaks through a level, where it's likely to go next on its next larger time frame. That's it for the chart of the day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.